picks available in Avant. I mean, they've got the first pick. They could grab the likes of, you know, Lysandra, even though it didn't necessarily work out for Porky in the last game, he still had some strong showing, some great engages to come through, especially even when they were behind about 8,000 gold.
But it's actually the Xerath ban coming through, which I find a little bit curious. And finally, Rumble taken away from Porky, the insta-lock for Morgana, the ultimate flex pick as the last pick.
The uber flex pick. Still yet to see it in the jungle, but look, I'm sure it could happen. Fornot,
they tease us with the Emerald move.
It's probably not going to be the Azir as well on this patch. Naya thinking about a Cogmore here for CNJ. I don't think they're thinking about anything. They're just hovering over some interesting picks, and we'll see what they do decide to lock in at the end, whether or not it is going to be us sort of getting trolled just a little bit. But look, we'll see what happens, because I don't know whether it's necessarily going to be a Yorick jungle that's going to be locked in for Naya. Although, I mean, he's played interesting things in the past.
Look, there's so many games in competitive history, but of course OMG have played that jungle Yorick. I'd love to see it. It's the kind of thing that I'm waiting to see, maybe on 5.5 with some changes to the jungle itemization. But right now, they're hovering over some more standard picks.
Yeah, it's true. And it is going to be Zeldo picking up that Janna for the second time here in the OPL. Bringing that one towards the bottom side, and Naya with a very meta Jarvan pick.
Interesting. And that's kind of the question with Fortnite, is that if you ban their off-meta champions, you might think they'd move to standard meta, but you never really know. They kind of have a very specific champion pool, which didn't serve them well in the first 8 games, but, you know, the Diana top, the crown jewel of their first victory in the OPL.
Yeah, well, we'll see whether that one is going to be what comes through yet again, but I'm not entirely sure, because of course you don't necessarily want to pick that and give Porky his run of anything that he wants. As Chelby thinking about a pick for Porky here, as Vi is going to get hovered as well, and having Vi and Morgana sort of screams that there could be a potential Kalista lock-in, but the cannon's going to work, and Porky said, that cannon looked really strong in the last game, I'm going to play it this one.
Very similar champions, as you mentioned. The cannon on 5.4 is just so reliable. As you mentioned, the reliable CC now, because of course the Slicing Maelstrom does apply the electrical mark with the W. The reliability of having the Morgana, of course now it's looking a bit more like a Morgana support, you'd have to think.
Could be.
But there is still the flexibility to put it in the mid.
You can put it sort of anywhere here as well, as Kennen, he can go into that mid lane. Shades of Reginald coming through from quite a long time ago. CNJ thinking about continuing the ball rolling. Of course, his Lucian was brilliant in that last game, and CNJ actually showed us some fantastic Lucian play coming through the OCS, but we shall see whether that is exactly what he's going to... In fact, didn't actually play it in the OCS. It was a tournament that I saw previously, but of course, CNJ been playing for quite some time, and Lucian definitely suited him in the last match. And Moya, oh my goodness, is he going to do it again? He is! Moya going back to the Orianna.
And Orianna, much like Fornot, 1 win so far in the OPL. That was actually from Chief Swiffer. Looked very convincing on the champion. You can see the wombo engage between Jarvan and Orianna. A great ball carrier is the Jarvan. But if the OPL has taught us anything, it's that you don't see a lot of victories playing that control mage in the mid.
But you do see a lot of victories playing Varus, Missouri. That's exactly what you do. Actually, more notably, has actually received a slight buff. I believe that was in 5.5 though. So it's only going to be the width of the ultimate that has been improved just a little bit from the last time that you saw a Varus. But I'm not entirely sure whether that is going to be the lock-in just yet for Missouri, as Johnny is switching through a few options here for that mid lane, and we'll see what Kensti decides to go with at that stage. Of course, could also still be a support if he wants to return the favor that Sharp managed to pull off in the last game.
Just considering a couple of entry choices, even flashing your favorite champion, Mordekaiser out.
He's playing with my heart, is Johnny at the moment, but it is going to be the lock-in of Kensti's LeBlanc, and
wow!
The Varus is happening, ladies and gentlemen. My personal favorite AD carry is going to join the Rift. Of course, incredibly immobile, but they've got the Vi on their side. They have the black shield for the safety here, and the purple theme is going to be hopefully in fruition here for Avant Garde. This is a lineup that I absolutely love because they have so much single target lockdown that turns AoE after a certain amount of time. Of course, Soul Shackles and that Chains of Corruption, pretty similar.
But so much death across the map the moment Chelby hits level 6. Set up CC in the top, set up CC in the mid, even CC coming from the bottom from the Morgana. It's going to be kind of a field day for Chelby choosing lanes to gank. But my issue is, if you see an enemy team pick Java and then you lock in Varus and then mobile AD carry, it's just very surprising to me. It tells me maybe they have a big like practice comp that they've used a few times, but it's almost reckless to pick up the Varus into a Jarvan.
And we're going to have a repeat of last game, ladies and gentlemen, here in the top side. Carlos is going to be taking that Lissandra here for the first time, actually, for him. So his 6th unique champion pick here in the OPL as Hawkeye going to try and do his best perfection impression.
Lucian versus Varus is your bot lane matchup. Lucian definitely
They're
stepping up in terms of...
favorite AD carries. I'm just so happy.
It's just a big shout out to you. With the Mordekaiser hover, the Varus Lucian lock-ins.
So much love
all about
coming
you,
through.
Atlas.
Yeah, loving it. It's probably not, okay? It's because they're incredibly good champions. Papa Smithy, if you wouldn't mind.
Maybe on 5.5 Varus. Don't know about the 5.4.
Yeah, actually, that the cooldown reduction on his Q that starts as he is queuing as opposed to the rest is definitely very strong. But ladies and gentlemen, after these lineups have come through, do you believe in Fornot being able to pick up a 2-0 this time? Make sure you tweet it through with that hashtag 4NWin. Or if you think that Avant Garde is going to be able to take this one with Varus in their lineup of all champions, make sure you tweet through AVWin using that hashtag as well. And throw in a hashtag IMOPL just to be sure. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a huge match, and I just can't wait to see Varus back in competitive play, because if these changes of corruption are actually landing, we might see a whole lot more, because, of course, that was the curse when he first came out.
That's the big if, Atlas, of course. The chain of corruption of any ultimate, probably the most missed ultimate in League of Legends history. But when it hits, it can be devastating, especially in a 5v5 situation. That stun or snare, I believe, spreading to a whole team can be team fight changing, and that's with the Slicing Maelstrom potentially coming in. If the Slicing Maelstrom starts with the AoE CC, you might feel like that CC just never ends.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. They've just got so much AoE lockdown in 3 different champions. Of course, having the Morgana as well with the Soul Shackles. I mean, even a support Morgana, if everyone's stunned by a Slicing Maelstrom, you're almost guaranteed to get that stun tick.
Absolutely, and there's a pause in-game, ladies and gentlemen, so we might have to look over his lines a little bit more. We should also take a step back and realize there's a lot for both these teams to play for. Avant, after losing that first game against Direwolves, they need to pick up a win to regain parity with team immunity and give themselves a realistic shot at that 4th spot. They don't want to move a game behind with only 4 games to play after this one. On the other side of the coin, Fornot, it took 9 games to get their first win on the board. If they want to at least reach the 5th spot, get themselves a safety from the promotion relegations, they need to start picking up the wins now. So a lot on the line for both teams. Some interesting off-meta picks. I'm just excited to see, can Varus handle a situation with the Jarvan?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If he gets cataclysmed, he's going to have to use that flash in order to escape. But that's up every 5 minutes, and Cataclysm, that does not have a very big cooldown. No. So picking it actually into Naya's Jarvan, maybe he just thinks that he'll be able to get far enough ahead with the power that Varus has in lane in order to just stand there and kill everyone.
I just realized there's the potential, Atlas, of the infinite CC chain. Now, bear with me here. Slicing Maelstrom starts, Assault and Battery, the Kensti chains come through, then the ultimate, the Chain of Corruption from Mass, double chains, 2 chains.
2 chains?
2 chains, maybe even 3 chains.
Whoa, no, I just want 2 chains, know what I'm saying?
And then the Dark Binding is 3 seconds. Actually, if the Dark Binding is the first one there, get a bit of CDR on that support. Not going to be moving too much in a fight.
Yeah, it is just ridiculous. There's so much delayed CC. It's almost all of the delayed CC in the game coming through from our Avant lineup. It's like they're just feeling a bit lazy today.
And so you're CNJ and you're like, how do I exactly navigate all of this crowd control?
You know how you do it? By skating around a team fight using that Relentless Pursuit over and over again, of course, in the late game. Using that Light Slinger passive over and over. A very good way to sort of navigate your way around a fight. But you're right. He's only got 500 range. It's going to be quite difficult as this short-range Lucian. But CNJ had a great game in the last one.
It's going to be very interesting to compare, actually, the Varus versus Lucian matchup. If we do see a 2v2, Varus at this point now, I haven't actually seen this matchup since it was the Varus 575 range to the Lucian 550 range. Now 575 versus 500. 75 range is a significant advantage for Varus in lane. Lucian still is a lane boy, still can use that piercing light to get a bit of lane control. But Varus versus Lucian, you don't see this matchup too often, especially on the current patch.
Yeah, and we'll see exactly what the build's going to come through. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember the old Minky Whale, he actually came up with a bit of a cooldown reduction build for Varus, which I, in fact, tested out in a normal game. Didn't go so well, but he's actually been having some success using the Boots of Lucidity and, of course, that Brutalizer to come through as well to really make sure that you've got as much cooldown reduction as possible.
I was actually in that normal game, Atlas, and yeah, it definitely didn't work. We didn't win the normal game.
Didn't we win the normal game?
No.
I thought we won the normal game. No, I think we did.
Okay, but you didn't help.
Hey, I did help. I built actual items after that. Do you remember? No, he obviously doesn't remember. We
actually are still paused, so we're going to have to talk about our solo queue and normal game histories a little bit longer. No, wait, there's a lot to talk about here.
Everyone's excited about it. I'm actually... Look, okay, to go back to this just for one moment, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in fact 6-0 on Varus in solo queue at the moment. Admittedly, not very high ranked, but I think that he's a fantastic AD carry at this current point.
On 5.5,
I was playing it on 5.4.
Well, then you're a hipster then.
I am a hipster, ladies and gentlemen. Playing him before it was cool, and it was actually as soon as that Heartseeker Varus skin
And it can't be much cooler now that it's in the OPL. Now it's in competitive. Definitely you can put your hand up and say, you started this trend. It's all you, Atlas.
And Misui as well. How do you think the transition goes from being a Corki main, theoretically, of course, has played a lot of that champion, historically known for playing a lot of Corki, moving from Corki to Varus as far as how that playstyle exchanges?
Well, I mean, it's Corki Ezreal, you'd have to say, the two big champions for Maz. Now moving on to the Varus, going to have to be so careful with his position. We actually saw in the previous game face-checking the brush towards his Raptors and dying, even with the escapes available. So going to have to be even more conservative with his position. Does, of course, have the Morgana, providing the Black Shield. Does potentially have a lot of AoE CC in front of him to allow him to navigate right at the back. And honestly, you know, if he wants to, he could opt into the Bloodthirst, the Last Whisper build and just go for kind of a poke build around the piercing arrows. So he does have options, but in a team fight especially, basically it's going to be a battle between Naya's kind of locus of control with the EQ into Cataclysm combo and where the Masses flashes up.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think a lot is going to depend on whether Maz's flashes up. And I have a feeling Distortion Enchantment on his boots could actually come in fairly handy here for Misui because he's going to have a target on his head. And I don't think the Black Shield is quite going to be enough because you can't Black Shield a giant array of terrain around you.
And just kind of discussing the comps as a whole, it's two team fighting comps, so at least we should see a very bloodthirsty game. Plenty of kills going to be on the Rift. This is not, you know, it's going to be an Orianna Jarvan initiation with potentially the Sandra riding in on the Glacial Path as well. And then, of course, on the other side, Assault and Battery, and just all the layering of CC coming through. The only real big mid-game disadvantage is for Fortnite, because, of course, LeBlanc in the mid-game can overtake a game.
Not
and
to
Moya
mention,
just wants to clear waves.
That's exactly right. And we are onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen, with Avant Garde taking on Fortnite for our final game of the night. Fortnite actually coming off their first victory in the OPL, saving themselves from guaranteed relegation. And Avant now trying to put another nail in the potential coffin here for Fortnite as they try their very best to get back into playoff contention. Moya already taken a lot of arrows from Misui, who obviously hasn't taken his W just yet, the Blighted Quiver.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
But Fortnite actually already going for a fairly aggressive move out of their jungle and then heading straight back in again. Porky, though, with this cute little Redskin, just going to be throwing some auto attacks here into Carlos, and Carlos probably going to head back as well. But no deep vision going to be gleaned from either team.
It looks like it's going to be standard lanes then, so they're not looking to scout out for lane swaps just yet. Going to have the mages doing battle on top, just like the previous series, as you said. And with the all-important, the very intriguing Varus versus Lucian matchup in the bottom lane.
Oh, I'm so excited. Piercing Arrow versus Piercing Light. And Misui, we'll see whether he's going to make this Varus look good moving into this one.
Absolutely. So just standard starts. Looks like it's going to be a Gromp start coming through from Fortnite, and it's going to be the Krug started for Avant.
Yeah, and it's going to... The junglers are also coming through here to take down these ones, so no early level is going to be achieved by either of these bottom lanes that are, of course, coming in at exactly the same time, exactly the same experience, and everything is going to be A-OK. Porky and Carlos shooting each other with their various auto attacks, and Carlos trying to get some Q harass down here as well. And we'll see whether Porky can put on the same amount of pressure that Perfection had in the last game.
I just noted that Porky actually only has 32 magic resist at level 1. He might be running scaling magic resist runes, but Carlos' God, he has the 42. It's in the bot.
Yeah, Zaldo actually getting very, very aggressive, but going incredibly low here as Piercing Light doesn't quite find Misui. C&J very, very healthy. Zaldo using his health bar very effectively as Naya looking to get some early pressure down here in this bottom side. He hasn't necessarily... Oh, he has been spotted. The pings are out. And Avant going to see the Jarvan coming through. And we'll see how Moya goes on his famed Orianna. This is one of his favorite champions, but just hasn't found the success. 0-3 so far in the OPL, but has definitely had standout performances. But Kensty's LeBlanc is no slouch.
I'm expecting Kensty to play very aggressively to try and draw aggro away from the fact that they have a very low pressure early game jungler. Of course, Chelby on the Vi will be looking to farm to level 6, but if LeBlanc can be consistently pushing in Moya at these early levels, just giving a lot more pressure on the map, forcing the jungler to react to his movements with all his escapes, of course, the distortion and the flash available at this point in the game, it might open up space for Chelby to farm up.
Yeah, it's true. Misui actually going to be throwing out some piercing arrows and doing some work onto C&J here as Kensty went down very low there in the mid lane. Naya did come through. Going to have another pause, ladies and gentlemen, which is why we're going to be straight back onto your screen. But so far, Naya been looking for some pressure and actually found some in the mid lane.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, Kensty wants to be overextended just a little bit because, again, he has innate mobility and he's trying to draw away, pressure away from his other lanes. It's a Jarvan versus Vi matchup, so Jarvan definitely going to have the advantage in terms of early skirmishing and early pressure. And Chelby just doing his best to farm up and hit that level 6. We already mentioned, once that Assault and Battery comes in, so much supplemental CC in the lanes from every member, even the AD carry in this situation, that the kills should start rolling in for both Chelby and Avant as a team.
Yeah, and this is something that I was going to mention before. I'm really worried for Moya as soon as Avant get anywhere near Chelby having level 6, because what's he going to do? Assault and Battery comes through, he flashes under a tower, but then Kensty has so much burst damage on a target that is rooted in place.
Absolutely.
And what are you going to do? You're just going to die.
And that's the reason why, I mean, Orianna struggled significantly. I mean, we saw Choo-Choo's, of course, on the Syndra, just killing Moya, and every time he was able, trying to rotate out of lane, just being caught with the stun and dying from the scatter of the weak. So, I mean, that's the issue with Orianna, is you need to navigate the early laning phase. Swiffer did this wonderfully, keeping up CS in quite a difficult lane matchup for Orianna in the Chiefs game. But we're talking about Swiffer, probably the best mid laner in the OPL. Moya has a lot of practice on the Orianna, but you're going to really need Naya to create some pressure early and allow him to farm up those big items. Because Orianna, it's always the 2-item power play. It's not necessarily the CDI, not necessarily the Athenes, for example, that you have to think he opts in against the LeBlanc. It's the death cap when you get the dual defensive scaling and also the offensive scaling, of course, with the death cap.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And look, I don't know. We'll see whether they can stall this one out, because that's exactly what Fortnite are going to have to do this game. They're going to have to weather the mid-game storm that's going to come through from Avant. But then when it comes to late-game team fighting, I mean, Fortnite are going to have a lot of lockdown, but it's like lockdown versus lockdown. Everyone's not going to be able to do anything. There's going to be chains of corruption, soul shackles, chains. Of course, as you mentioned, 2 chains. You've got like Chelby coming through with the Assault and Battery. No one's going to be able to do anything in these team fights. And
that's why the worry for Fortnite is that if you have 2 team comps that do the same thing, except one has a massive pressure advantage in the early game, discrepancy in the mid lane, where of course LeBlanc has so much pressure in early levels, and of course from level 6 has significant kill pressure and global mobility, and Orianna's just relegated to, you know, being reactive, clearing waves, just picking up raptors instead of roaming against the enemy team. If the roams are successful, it doesn't really matter where Orianna gets in the late game if LeBlanc can take over this game and this map before that late game ever hits.
That's a very good point. And one thing that I did notice, and one thing that Avant Garde were lacking when they were versing Perfections in the last match, was the fact that Zaldo now has the Janna. As C&J going very aggressive as we come back from this pause. The Ignite onto C&J, though. He has to pop that heal. Doesn't quite do as much as Johnny. He's going to flash forward. Nice heal. Shield, sorry, from Zaldo. And he's going to sacrifice himself to Johnny. Oh, the piercing light fade away. And Varus is the best AD in the game.
And Zaldo really tried to buy time for C&J to get away, but the snipe come through from Maz. I can see why you love the Varus. 2-0, no 1-0-1 as Morgana picks up one of the kills, crucially picks up the first blood. But that is a significant advantage, and that's with no jungle pressure whatsoever.
Yeah, and if we remember as well, back from All-Stars a few years ago, Xpecial and Double if coming through from North America, they played the Thresh Varus lane, and that's what actually won the 2v2 battle there over in China. So, look, Varus, very strong champion.
I like how you have so much specific historic knowledge of Varus.
Hey, I didn't use Yellow Pete's Varus performances as too much of a example there, of course. Chains of Corruption weren't landing so much when it was CLGU playing that one, but of course did find some success with, you know, at the first release of the Varus. I'm not going to continue with the Varus history lesson, but I just like the champion. I think he's very fun.
Just watching the lane matchups. This is a significant disadvantage for Fortnite in the bottom lane. There's so much gold. The pickaxe actually already completed. That suggests to me maybe even an Infinity Edge as the first pickup coming through from Varus. Consistent damage coming through. Of course, Varus used to be a Trinity Force champion. Def liked to pick that up on him. Other people like the Bloodthirster when Bloodthirster was very popular. Zaldo goes for a walk and finds a lot of enemies.
Yeah, Chelby's there as well. Piercing Arrow doing so much work from Missouri now that he has that pickaxe. Kensti might be in trouble from Naya here, but Chelby waiting in the wings, and Kensti turns around. Naya must know something's going on. There's a Dragon Strike, not going to find him.
But Chelby finding a gank in the bottom lane, just going there and understanding that Zelda had to put down some wards to relieve pressure after dying in a 2v2, then just compounding it now. I don't know if this is a hole that Fortnite can crawl out of in the bottom lane.
Yeah, well, bottom lane is definitely going to be difficult. Naya actually going to dodge the chains here as well as the Command Protect comes through from Moya. A lot of members moving up towards this middle lane, but Moya is going to survive this time, and thankfully he's made it to level 5 without dying.
It's definitely something good for him, but the issue here is that it's already going to be significant. As we see the ultimate hitting the top.
Yeah, ult's going off. Of course, the trade of ultimates coming through, and Carlos actually it wasn't the trade because, of course, Porky doesn't actually have his yet, so Carlos making it to level 6 a little bit quicker. This is the last of his mana.
That's the point we discussed in the previous game. When it's two of those mages, the moment you hit level 6, because of the low base health, you're going to see those all-ins, and that was the advantage.
Whoa.
Look at the bursts in mid lane.
That is just ridiculous. Both of these mid laners have hit that level 6 mark, but the heal is still available for Moya. But the Ignite's there as well, and Kensti, you can imagine with that Grievous Wounds, probably still has a lot of kill pressure on this Orianna.
Orianna actually reacting to the top side, as you say.
Looking for something here. Blighted Quiver, of course, has been leveled up and does a lot of extra damage per auto attack here for Missouri, and he's hitting now with a lot of strength in this bottom lane.
Teleport's going to come back to top, so no big advantage, even though this massive minion wave being pushed into turret. The issue I see here for Fortnite is that there's already an inherent advantage in the mid lane in terms of pressure, and now, given that they're effectively 3-0 up on the Fortnite minion wave, you can see they're so aggressive, not looking to freeze the minion wave necessarily, just really having so many strategic options because they're so far ahead in bottom. 2 winning lanes, and then a Vi who's soon to hit 6 and apply the assault and battery pressure as well. Is there going to be a safe spot for Fortnite to farm?
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't look like it's going to be in the bottom lane here, as of course, as you mentioned, Missouri able to freeze that one out if he wanted to, but it looks to me like he is going to just shove that one in, and not wanting to deny the experience from C&J, probably wants to head back, pick up some items potentially, but with that pickaxe, you have to think that he wants a BF sword next. Shelby, he might find Moya as the dissonance does come down. Moya going to be safe for now. Half of his health bar has gone. Piercing Arrow not going to find C&J as level 6 has come down for Missouri. Here's the test. The Chains of Corruption test for Missouri. Is he going to land his first one?
He's actually waiting for Assault and Battery to be achieved on Shelby. He's actually less experienced than his AD carry after all the score involvements for Maz in this early game. Gonna ping 6, probably when he's going to be donating the blue buff over, as Johnny finally rejoins Varus in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and of course, Johnny's been wandering around this map quite a lot, and Missouri's still able to stay ahead on farm, still not getting pressured out of this lane, as C&J going to pierce Johnny with some light, but he's going to be A-okay, and they're just going to hold this wave here and say, Fortnite, come to us, and we'll probably kill you.
It's scary enough for the item advantage to be with Fortnite, but also the long-range CC, the Chain of Corruption can go through minions, then you just apply the Dark Binding. There's so much kill pressure that freezing the lane, it's not just because of items, it's because of the CC threat as well.
Yeah, that's the thing, and Missouri, as soon as C&J is in range of a minion wave, as the shield is entirely destroyed there with that piercing light, Missouri going very aggressive. There's the Chains of Corruption, the Dark Binding as well, lined up so easily, but Fortnite trying to turn this one around. The Ignite onto Missouri. Zaldo! Oh, that puddle not going to quite be enough as C&J trying to turn it around. Of course, Johnny and Missouri not with too much left as piercing light just misses Missouri, and Naya gets spotted out by a ward. There might be a dive. There's the snipe onto Zaldo, and Missouri picks up his second kill. The flash into the Dragon Strike. There's the Cataclysm, but the flash out, and Missouri survives. Naya, he's going to fall down to Johnny as the Soul Shackles comes through for him, and C&J has to be careful, gets stunned, but still has more consistent damage than Johnny. The flash, the Dark Binding finds him, but it's still not enough. Johnny picks up the kill, and I'm about to die.
Johnny is a very fed support, Atlas. 4-0-2, 100% kill participation. That's usually because teams are early grouping. No, it's just been so many damn kills in the bottom lane.
And Johnny is doing his best Sharp impression this game, you have to think. Already has that extra amp tomb going towards the Frost Queen's claim, you have to assume. And I hope that he picks up Azonia's Hourglass as his first item here, because he deserves it. He's doing so much work in this bottom side, and that Flash Dark Binding was awesome.
Just so much action in the bottom lane. The rest of the map's been relatively controlled. The solo lanes especially, no score involved. There's been no rotations, just been purely duking it out in the bottom lane.
Yep, Howlingale finds Chelby, but doesn't find a Dragon and Avant. They pick up the first one, 6-0 now for this team, and they are playing with fire under their shoes at this stage.
I mean, C&J's had some awkward buy times. Look what he's been relegated to. Berserker's Greaves, Vamp Scepter. That is the sign of an AD carry. He's far behind, but Maz is overextended. He's going to be dead.
Yeah, he is most definitely dead. Just cold here as well as Porky's coming into the bottom side. Slicing Maelstrom straight away. There's the Lightning Rush as well. The double stuns to come down. Black Shield, is it going to be enough as Carlos comes down? There's the Frozen Tomb. Naya's here. The whole team of Fortnite are paying a visit to the bottom lane, and they pick up a couple of kills.
Finally get some score involvements. Good rotation coming through from Fortnite. They might actually get this out of turret, but CNJ doesn't have a lot of AD. This will actually take quite a long time.
Yeah, but especially if they're going to dive here as well. The Shockwave comes through here as well, but Kenzie immediately takes him down. Oh, command attack not going to be enough as CNJ takes down Shelby. Glacial Path coming through. There's the double kill for CNJ, but here comes Kenzie. He's got a lot of damage. CNJ has to be careful as the shutdown comes through. Command Protect not quite enough as Moya's completely out of mana. Carlos, you're in trouble. Chains of Corruption lands 2 for 2 for Missouri.
Doesn't quite spread to Zaldo. It would have been a double kill coming through from Missouri. C&J has crawled out of a hole though. 0-2 to 3-3. A lot of gold coming from that fight. Suddenly has a BF sword to complement what was very much a necessitated Berserker's Greaves Vamp Scepter. That was important for Fortnite because they were fighting against higher level, higher experience, getting experience bounties from those kills and the gold as well. So Fortnite, they get the better of that trade despite the massive kill score. 14 kills in 12 minutes.
What I want to talk about though is the fact that Moya, he picked up a 1-0-2 scoreline for himself. This is the best he's looked so far on his very comfortable Orianna. Hasn't received any focus, even though, you know, he's quite gankable on that champion. We'll see whether he can perform to the level that Moya actually demonstrated before the OPL.
You're not quite matching the item timing of the LeBlanc, but very comparable. Of course, Fiends is slightly more expensive than Morellonomicon, so doesn't have the boots too compared to what LeBlanc has completed. Maz takes another trade in bottom lane, though.
Yeah, Maz, he's just going to burn down, and the culling coming through, and Varus getting picked apart here because Johnny's roaming around the enemy jungle.
But you have to remember, Alex, he's getting picked by a Janna. This is not like a hard engaged bottom lane, but that's enough when you don't have flash and have no mobility whatsoever. The Varus, it's looked good going forward, not so good looking behind. Yep.
Yeah, Naya just leaves the map here for a moment. Carlos is God looking to try and start something up. Actually stuns himself there with the Frozen Tomb, but he's in so much trouble. Porky picks up an easy one as he just cruises down to the red buff.
And of course, Johnny had gone top and caused that map pressure, so gets 2 kills for the roam, whereas at the same time they lose the turret and C&J continues to crawl back into this game. It is surreal that he is now a relevant threat, and he even has a positive KDA. Yeah, this is only 14 minutes in.
Yeah, crawl back to the game. He's 700 gold ahead.
That's obscene given how this lane started.
Most definitely. 4-3-2 now has his BF sword. Infinity Edge has been finished by Missouri, but he needed boots about an hour ago.
Yeah, he needed boots a long time ago. Maybe even the distortion boots. Just no AD, but able to get away from these kills. Swifties.
I think he probably needed Swifties, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the best boots in the game for the best champion in the game.
You can get away from Janna's CC with Swifties.
That's exactly right. You're not going to get slowed down. Not at all. But that being said, I mean, I don't think Swifties would necessarily work against the incredible amount of hard CC coming through from this 4-0 lineup.
If there's another pause, we can do the teaching point about Varus's self-slow with Q and swiftness boots, but we'll leave that for another day.
Yeah, that was actually, I remember that one. It's a cool bit of information, but CNJ, he's picked up the Bloodthirster first, and what do you feel about this one? Probably will be going into the Static Shiv, much like some of our friends over in China.
But this is exactly what he picked up in the first game, and the significance of it is that it makes him better at sieging. You build up that lifesteal, build up the shield that comes from the Bloodthirster, of course scales with level. But we'll stop the teaching point as Naya has found a friend.
Yeah, he's going to get Assault and Battered here as well. Dark Binding doesn't quite find him as Moya is going to protect him here with his ball. Oh my goodness, there's a Shockwave after that one, but he does fall down. They do trade though. Both junglers now dead. Moya gets caught by a Dark Binding. Kensti doing so much burst damage. Zaldo just hanging out, having a bit of a party, auto-attacking some Raptors. As CNJ going to find Misui under here, but look at that. There's the culling coming down. Doesn't get stunned for all that long. As there's the piercing arrow, doesn't find it. The flash forward from CNJ. There's a relentless pursuit. The heal coming out. CNJ keeps his, and Misui has to be very careful.
Misui is certainly not winning trades despite having the complete Infinity Edge. And Kensti, he spoils the party.
Yeah, that was a 1v1, Kensti.
Kensti just comes up to these things
So
without an
rude,
RSVP.
Man. So rude.
Eats all the chips.
Yeah. 5-1 and 2. So many chips references tonight. It's brilliant. Kensti going to take down Zelda. There's the Ignite as well. Kensti, it's like Fortnite have sort of forgotten that he's there. And he keeps just
you know when you get to a party and there's just a bit of pizza left. You eat both slices. You don't even leave one for the enemy team.
You need to have some dinner after this, I think, Brother City. Shelby, he finds Naya, though, in the jungle and just keeps punching him. I think Naya might be safe. Actually thinking about possibly turning around, but doesn't get the E for the EQ combo. And Moya going to continue trying to clear out this mid lane, but Kensti and Johnny with a fair bit of auto-attack damage, and Johnny has just given up on Misui.
I mean, Kensti, his lead is reminiscent of just how far Maz was in the early lane. He faced 6-1 and 2. You have to think he's sitting on a mount. He's sitting on 3,000 gold, basically. And they're still going to try the dragon, even with their mid laner basically baiting them with an implied gold lead.
Well, implied gold lead is definitely a point. In fact, their mid laner isn't actually going to be around this dragon. Neither is any member of Fortnite. They just give this one up. Carlos, he did have his teleport available, but with no vision, it's a little bit easier here for Avant. Pick up their second dragon.
The second dragon comes down. There's no way to contest it, despite the fact that CNJ was really pushing advantages and getting aggressive on Maz previously. The moment those two picks came through, able to pick up some kills. Now 2 dragons down for Fortnite. This game is a bit of a seesaw.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit dangerous. Zaldo actually going to get missed here and have a bit of a giggle as Kensti going to come through. We're going to have another pause, ladies and gentlemen, just for a moment, as we're going to sort some things out. But way too easy for Kensti to come back down. And we are back in the game, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the man on your screen, still with so much pressure. And Avant answer that bottom lane out a turret kill from Fortnite with a turret of their own.
They were already 2,500 gold ahead, down a turret. Now they're even in turrets. The gold is grown to about 3,000 as Kensti's found another person.
Yeah, but Naya's there as well. As there's the Shockwave. Kensti flashes out of it as there's the Cataclysm. Kensti trying to turn it around, but Command Protect is there. Dissonance doesn't find the damage as the mimicked Kensti looking to lock down Naya. Comes back and kills Moya, and Porky comes in as well. The distortion to come back. Kensti is a god, and Porky picks up the kill. Zaldo, get out of here. You're not doing anything.
Kensti is the tastiest bait ever. You can see him styling a little bit after a massive outplay. He's made a small mechanical mistake. Actually used his Q onto a minion. Would have got the kill on Orianna early, but it just makes the highlight reel clip look that much sweeter.
Yeah, that was on purpose, just for a bit of swag. Misui going to make his way here into this mid lane as well, as Kensti finishes off the death cap, and that's just going to be all the easier at this stage to make plays like that when you only need one spell and you can kill anyone.
I mean, we're talking about 419 AP at 19 minutes.
Okay, that's a lot of AP at 19 minutes. The Zeal is completed now as well as the Cloak of Agility from Misui. He's got a lot of auto-attack damage, but this isn't a Siege Varus. This is a Varus that wants to be auto-attacking you all the time and critting your face off.
I mean, the worrying thing to consider from a Fortnite perspective is that we've seen so many double AP comes, although it's Porky, I believe, is taking some damage in the top.
Yeah, Misui does come round though, misses the Chain of Corruption. He's obviously the right kind of Varus player here for competitive players. Carlos' God not going to find the Q, but Naya, he's going to fall down.
The Blight explosion with the E and the auto attack did about 500 damage onto the
Just
Jarvan,
ridiculous.
which is a lot of damage. It must have been a critical strike coming through. It doesn't have any armor penetration on his build just yet. Deletion damage coming from so many members of the Avant team. I'm worried about the fact that Porky has an Abyssal Scepter. If we see a Mimic Distortion with this much AP stacked up and the Abyssal Scepter reducing magic resist...
Oh my goodness. Speaking of which, Moya just gets destroyed. Assault and Battery coming through from Shelby here as well. He gets sped up. Gets his armor shredded here as well as Kenzie lands a chain onto Zaldo. Naya, he's respawned, looking to try and start something up. There was a lot of excess damage being done, and Misui, he's in the top lane, but Naya can't really find anything. And AV able to get out scot-free after taking down the mid laner, and Mizui's just relentless in this push here in the top side of the map. There's the ultimate coming through from Porky as Naya just jumps in to get stunned, dies for free. Shelby takes a lot of damage. The stun through onto Carlos as well as Porky. Mizui, just the tip of the piercing arrow, nets himself a kill.
Wonderful time to pick up an exit kill. I want to highlight the fact that Juni actually used the Dark Binding on top of Carlos' God as he was using the Glacial Path to prevent the first engage. Then they found the favorable engage, went back in, got the kills. Everything's coming up Avant, and suddenly out of nowhere, 8,600 gold lead at 21 minutes.
Yeah, really beautiful play coming through over the last little while from Avant. They've just managed to get all of the picks that they're looking for, and it's from just incredibly good vision control. You look at all of those pink wards. There's 4 on the map, only 1 member without a pink sitting around somewhere useful. Although that top one, not all that useful now that the couple of outer turrets have been removed from that top side of the map. But you have to say, there's just so much control. Kenzie just steals away a blue buff. Easy as you like.
It's a pick comp, you know, with the LeBlanc especially, but a pick comp with so much CC and a LeBlanc who's this far ahead to have this much exclusive vision. There is so much of this map that unfortunately at this present moment, Fortnite has no business checking, and Dragon is just an objective that's far too far away. Their defensive ward consists of 1 ward at their own blue buff, 1 ward at the entrance to their wolves. They need to get more wards down, unfortunately, and they need pinks as a team, but there's no pinks in the inventory, and unfortunately the vision's not working.
Yeah, Chovy actually going to Vault Breaker flash over the wall. That was very, very cute. Zelda going to find an Eye of the Storm for Naya here, though, who's going to turn around. Porky's very, very low. Zelda might be in trouble. Shelby doesn't find the Vault Breaker. CNJ is here as well, taking a lot of damage. Johnny comes around. Soul Shackles. So much damage. CNJ melts to the power of Avant, and Moya dies 1v1 to Misui here on the bottom side. I mean, the answering kill comes through for Zaldo, but Carlos, not sure whether that Frozen Tomb's going to be enough because the ace comes through now for Avant.
And of course, this whole time, Maz got the 1v1 kill, now getting a lot of damage onto the inner turret. The bases are in tatters. Everything except the base is broken. Maz is able to 1v1 CNJ quite happily, and things are certainly coming up Avant.
Things are looking fantastic here for Avant, of course. And look, we'll see whether Fortnite can try and turn something around, but 26-8 as far as the kills are concerned. 12,000 gold, 23 minutes into the game. It's going to take a miracle for Fortnite to make it a 2-0 today.
And the third dragon just spawns. Maz might be able to solo it down. Of course, he does have percentage health damage if he uses his abilities in combination with the Blight. He's going to auto-attack it down. He's still an AD carry. There's Shelby. The extra movement speed. You mentioned the boots too. Now he's got boots too, the Zeal passive, and now, of course, the 5% movement speed. Able to skirt the edges as he finds Naya.
Oh, there's the Frost Queen's claim here as well. Naya looking to try and flag and drag his way out, but there's just too much damage on this Avant Garde lineup. 4-2-4 now for Shelby, actually, after he picks up that kill. And this isn't the Trinity Force. Oh, beautiful Howling Gale, but Saldo's still gonna die.
I mean, Kenzie has a Void Staff as well. He basically has the triumvirate of AP items he's looking for, and a cheeky amp tome at 23 minutes, now 24 minutes into the game.
Yeah, look, he's just... Yeah, he's a wizard with his hat and his staff, and he's got a couple of books. He's
even grown a beard.
Definitely doing it.
In record time.
No problem at all. Which is difficult for a LeBlanc, actually. Takes her a while to grow a beard. As Moya, he's just going to get torn apart. Flashes out of the way. It's a decent shockwave, but it's not going to do any damage as Porky using the zoning slicing Maelstrom at this time. Misui with so much extra damage here as well. Carlos, he's untargetable for a long time, but just gets pierced by that arrow. Naya looking for an entrance to his own base, but He's going to die. Takes down Shelby in the meantime, but that is still a 1-for-3 trade here for Avant.
They're finally going to break the base. I say finally. It's only 24 minutes into the game, but with just how far ahead they've been in the last few minutes, it feels like it's been longer as they're going to take the inhibitor. Zaldo takes so much damage from a piercing arrow, but does live.
Yeah, that's level 15 Mizui here as well against a level 11 Zaldo. Avant actually pushing into the base here. CNJ and Moya are alive again as Ardent Blaze not going to find anyone. Piercing like going to tear through CNJ, and Avant going to take some minions on their way out, but not going to finish the game just yet.
Death time is still quite short, so not able to finish the game. Would have been over-aggressive to try and take any of the Nexus turrets. So they relieve pressure from themselves, but very few places they can safely farm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they are going to have super creeps pushing into the base. There's a teleport coming down, but tapping the mat, and Fornot, they are going to fall to Avant, but Avant looking so strong, and of course they had a Varus.
And definitely a day of extremes for Fornot. Of course, the ecstasy of finally getting that first win at the 9th attempt, but just outplayed by an Avant team, galloping their way towards the top. Now, even in the standings with immunity, actually in our next match day, Atlas, we will see that big matchup, which may decide the top 4.
Yeah, tying it through here this week, getting to that 5-5. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got a replay, and let's just see how dominant Avant were that game.
This is still very early, so it's 3-0 is the kill score at the moment.
Oh, it's the snipe. Oh, I'm so excited.
All right, so let's roll the tape. Atlas, at least, will really look forward to this kill.
There
Starts with a
it
beautiful
is.
snipe. And it's 4-0 already. Remember, this is 4-0 at 9 minutes. And Maz stays alive. He holds his flash for the longest time, living on about 20 health. Johnny picks up the exit kill.
Johnny.
The auto attacks is the big thing. If he hadn't have got the 3 auto attacks in, he wouldn't have been able to pick up the kill.
Wait for this. Oh,
The flash fadeaway binding.
so beautiful. And you mentioned NBA Jam before, and that is an homage. That was some smooth moves.
High base stats for Johnny, you'd have to think, in NBA Jam, because he hits the slam dunks better than a Java.
Yeah, he was definitely holding one of the L or R buttons, making his boots a different color, ladies and gentlemen,
Turbo.
because that was some, yeah, Turbo, that's it. Of course, it's been a while since that game has ever been relevant. Loving the references, though. But ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at the results from today. It's been a brilliant day of OPL so far, but Direwolves, they took down Sudden Fear, and then Fornot also managed to take it to Sudden Fear for their first victory.
And the Dial was now up to 8-2, beating Avant in our last game, but Avant managing to stay within touch and distance of the playoffs, 5-5, by taking down Fornot.
And ladies and gentlemen, the OPL still has a couple of weeks to go. Week 6 is going to be starting on Thursday. And let's have a look at the teams that are going to be facing off. Of course, not actually yet. Not going to be doing that one. Not today. But we do have another week. And Papa Smithy, where can they find all of the VODs from the OPL thus far?
Exactly. The schedule, the standings, the VODs, all available at oce.lolesports.com. Even the schedule for the next thing. We don't have it right now, but we've got it coming soon.
Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. On behalf of myself, Papa Smithy, Pastry Time, and our whole production team, it has been a pleasure, and we'll see you on Thursday.